Welcome to this week's Cyber Briefing hosted by JPtheGeek. I'm Drew, our other security analyst. We had to kick off Philip last week because he was too enticed by these presents here in the background. This week we're going to be talking about data breaches, what's really going on, who does this impact, what do I have control over, and how can you reduce exposure? I'm now going to pass it off to our co-host here, Justin.
And good morning, everybody. And again, thank you for attending this week's Cyber Briefing. Like you said, we're going to be digging into data breaches. This is something, it's a culmination of everything we kind of talked about in our past cyber briefings. And one thing I really just wanted to end off the year with, because it's a large risk that's really going to drive into next year, right? And as we're coming towards the end of the year, all these security companies are coming out with their reports. Like I said in the past, and Recorded Future, which is a threat intelligence platform, they put out a study on the data breaches, which we're going to dig into. And the thing I find the most interesting in this report is between 2022 and 2023, what they found is that there was a 76% increase in data breaches. Now, that's, to me, a massive jump year over year. Now, what do you think this year's expected, increase may be?
Yeah, so far, experts are saying it can be upwards of 5%. Who knows how much it'll actually increase by the time the records actually come out.
Yeah, we're still a couple weeks away from the end of the year, but still 81%, increase from 2023 to 2024. That's huge, And this is something, why I was saying that this is a key thing to keep a lookout for next year, because, what's the expected increase next year, right?
Right.
And, for those, watching, if you take these steps to really secure your organization, you may not be in that, in that increase. So, that's, some great news there. And so what would you say is the kind of leading causes of these data breaches?
Yeah, some of the leading causes of these data breaches are lack of least privilege, some of the lack of monitoring, third-party software, and then also stolen or weak credentials. I see this all the time in some phishing emails.
Mm-hmm. And we touched on stolen and weak credentials in the past. We touched on some monitoring. What would you say? The least why is least privilege a key factor in this here?
Yeah, least privilege is a key factor because you're sharing files around with people, but also you want to make sure that that's only being shared to people who need to have access to it. Because that can get to eyes that shouldn't be seeing that information, which is a data breach.
Mm-hmm. And, with third-party software, they have access to a lot of information, and some of us may not even know exactly what third-party software has access to what. It doesn't have access to sensitive information, like my whole entire Office 365 suite, or, G Suite, or, whatever it, may be. And, there's some things you have to look at there. Do you need this software to have access to this information? Possibly, but possibly not. These are things that we need to look at, right? And what we're even seeing in the news. Like, what are some key headlines that you want to touch on?
Yeah, some big headlines I've been looking at are the lost consumer trust drives the business impact of data breaches. United Health's Optimum left an AI chatbot that employees use to ask questions about claims exposed to the internet, so anyone could see what that AI is talking about. And then also former employee sues the Kittle Homes furnishing after a data breach.
And then that's even a Indiana company. So that's one thing that can really hit Hoosiers hard is, what happens if one of your organizations gets compromised and, your data gets leaked out there. Well, now we have, Hoosier data that's, out there online and can be misused, which can really, especially around this time of year, really hurt families, really hurt the holidays, and just cause a lot of harm going into next year. IBM is, finding that it's a $4.8 million, price tag just in the very beginning, around data breaches. And that's a huge, huge toll for, I would say, almost all organizations. That's a big, big, big price tag. Now, what would you say the kind of top industries are that's being targeted for data breaches?
Yeah, some of the top industries that we're seeing are insurance, healthcare, finance, we've got manufacturing, and IT and software.
Yeah, and with data breaches just being the unauthorized viewing or sharing of sensitive information, it would make sense why those industries and those sectors are targeted because with insurance, with financial services, with healthcare, they have a lot of non-public sensitive information on you, on your clients, on your family. So if I can get in there and steal all the information, well, that's pretty much everything I would possibly need to take out loans, tank your credit, anything that I could possibly do with your information. Year over year between 2022 and 2023, what, Recorded Futures saw was there was a 178% increase in data breaches within the insurance sector. Now, what would you say, the increase would be for, the healthcare, which I would say has probably the second highest amount of information on us?
Yeah, we saw a 107% increase in healthcare, which is just over doubling.
Yeah, and these industries are being hit hard, and that's why we really want to bring this information to you, to where next year, we can hopefully start seeing a decrease in these, these sorts of attacks on industries, and especially Hoosier companies here. And what would you say organizations can do to protect themselves? You are a security analyst here at JPtheGeek. One of your key responsibilities is protecting our clients. So, looking at data breaches, what are the kind of key things that you would put in place to protect these organizations?
Yeah, some of the things you can do. You can encrypt your data, whether that's in transit or in rest, or you can then also need to encrypt that when it's being shared through like email or other modes of communication. You can also have security training online through taking courses and watching videos to help better prepare yourself and educate yourself on some of those important risks.
And, going further with that as well, there's also, the team collaboration. You want to have a solid collaboration between, security teams, insurance, your company's insurance, and, please, going into next year, please try and get like a cyber, insurance policy, standalone, not included in any sort of other policy, and you want to have close collaboration between these teams, because when things hit the fan, when things go haywire, I talked about it before, there's that crisis brain that sets in, you don't know what to do, you don't know who to call, and there's close collaboration, and then there's training, like you had mentioned, that panic brain can, be mitigated, if you practice plans, everybody works together just fine. These are things that can really help drive the resolution of that data breach. Now, there's, even more things that organizations can do to protect themselves outside of, cybersecurity awareness training or, encrypting your data, right? What might be some of the other things that, or what would you say is the key thing out of everything that you want organizations to kind of implement to really protect themselves from this?
Yeah, some key things you can do is, like I said earlier, that regular awareness training. You can implement your multi-factor authentication everywhere, not just on your email. As I said earlier, you encrypt your data, but then also making sure that you're monitoring your computers, your service accounts, and your users, because you need to do more than just have those security measures. You need to be looking at them and making sure that no one's infiltrating anything. And then also making sure you have some physical security as well, more than just on your systems, making sure that your doors have some locking system, or then you're cleaning up your desk because there's plenty of Post-it notes or sticky cards, whatever, on your desk that can have that password written down that anyone walking by or a cleaner can come and get that information and steal some information.
And, it's not even, passwords too. That's a key driver in it. But, what if there's, a patient's records just sitting on the desk, and that cleaner comes through, the janitor or your HVAC techs, and just snags a picture of it because they know they can sell the information, on the dark web for, some money. And, people can be strapped nowadays, especially, getting close to, the end of the year, all the holidays, how everything's been going with the economy. And, you have to secure your data like it's your most valuable asset. Because it is, right? And that's why, passwords and that MFA is a crucial part in protecting it, because, outside of your passwords, well, if you have, stolen or someone cracked your password, what's going to protect that account from being accessed? Multi-factor authentication. That's why it's the one thing besides, ensuring that you use strong passwords that we touch on a lot, because it protects you 99.998% of the time, right? What else would you say, what's the one last thing that you would say that you would like organizations to implement to really drive this home?
I think we basically covered most of it. Just most importantly, that MFA, the multi-factor authentication. Just some closing notes. This will be our last cyber briefing for the year, so we won't be here next week or the week after. If you or your organization needs anything explained from today's cyber briefing, feel free to reach out at our phone number of 317-936-3300 or our email of info@jpthegeek.com.
And last thing I kind of want to hit on here is, we're not going to be here for the last 2 weeks of this year. So please stay tuned for season 3 coming out early next year. Where we're going to have some great topics, some new guests, and we're going to explore some different realms, even outside of cyber. Thank you.